2022 Bigfoot International Open champion and the 2022 All-Around Derby City champion. He's sponsored by Q-Tech, Hex.com, Town, Diamond, and Jam Up Apparel. Please put your hands together from Moscow, Russia, Fedor Gorst. Our referee is Mr. Ricky Bryant, now sending it up to Jeremy Jones and Mark Wilson in the Accu-Stats booth.
Thank you, Derek. Hello and welcome, world-class 10 ball. Mark Wilson, Jeremy Jones here. Gorst and DeLuna lagging. Jeremy, how do you see this one?
Well, pretty high-powered, that's for sure. Gorst, you could hear, has gained a lot of fans here at the Derby here the last few years. And Jeffrey DeLuna, a very exciting player, explosive break. Got to give the edge to Federer a little bit like you would most matches he plays, but he can't stumble much against Jeffrey. And it's been a minute, really, since we've seen Jeffrey in a big event, here in the U.S. at least.
Good shot there of DeLuna. Always wears his hair spiked straight up. Mine sticks up that way after wearing this headset all day, too. I noticed. I look in the mirror like, good God.
Yeah, it's the beanie caps that does the worst for me. But but Federer, I was watching him practice. He has a variety of speeds on the break for 10 ball and 9 ball, of course. But,
yeah.
But he was really unloading while he was practicing. So we'll see. Much more than I really have seen any player so far.
The balls have to be racked randomly, not the 2 and the 3 in the corner as it has been in the past. The 10 ball does not win on the break. Race to 11, no jump cues allowed. All ball fouls.
Yeah, and usually with the little longer bridge, he goes harder like that, little, you know, and he'll just be an inch shorter if he uses like no body hardly when he breaks the balls. And I kind of like that, especially on the 10-footer, something you don't practice the break as much. I think, believe it or not, the extra distance, you could lose the timing if you try to play a little more controlled. I kind of feel like not knowing it for sure first match, why not unload, especially when you have that weapon like he does.
Now, I have a question here, and I don't know if we can grab the overhead.
I think it'll zigzag, won't it?
Well,
will it slide enough to get below?
If we could grab the overhead, I don't know if we can get it, but if we can, there it is. I'm wondering, can he this
zigzag,
here, but back down?
Well, the 2 has a pocket. I mean, it
if it does, so he doesn't have to bank it.
Yeah, and
boy, you got to fall good.
Well, the thing is, if you try to get all the way underneath, that speed may not agree with the ball opening up off the second rail. It looks like it agrees getting to that tight pocket and maybe a cross-corner bank on the 2. That's not bad.
The only time that shot works is when the cloth is super slippery, and he didn't even try for it. But you can see it really was sliding. You see what I mean? Had he hit that harder, he might have got where.
I think he's going to just cross-corner this. I don't see the point in taking on the tough pocket going away with some obstruction on the 9. You could get jacked up, and you don't want to put inside spin on this shot.
Right.
And he's a great banker. Don't see him going for this small pocket here. And I don't see him slow rolling it either, Mark. A little pop here.
Beautiful hit. We oftentimes talk about Gorst growing up in Moscow and playing on the Diamond 5x10 there at the pool room that he goes to. That was like his go-to table. So he's very comfortable playing on the 5x10. This is an unusual circumstance for all the rest of the players playing on a 5x10. 4 1/8 inch pockets.
Yeah, I love the 1 rail stun there. It's a shot, I think, under pressure. You know, that wasn't that bad, of course, but even stickier situations, it's a shot you got to learn. Because that 2 rails inside, trying to come inside the 6-9 or drawn behind the 10, that can become pretty touchy. And Federer showed it quickly here in the U.S. how great he was on the 5x10 at, what was he, 16, maybe 7, something like that.
Yeah, he's 22 now, and he's been coming here. He was formidable to begin with. I mean, it wasn't like he was just barely trying to learn to play or something.
Yeah, I played at that room a couple years in a row there in Moscow. The Baza. Vladimir, a beautiful pool room. Never as well, I don't know about now, but up until then, which I think it had been open somewhere around 4 to 5 years. Little thick hit there, so he's going to come a little more angle on the 8, which isn't a problem. Just a little more of a cut shot. think he feared maybe getting an awkward stretch if he kind of wrapped the corner there. But anyways, pretty fascinating. He's never charged pool time.
Oh, really?
When we were there, since the doors opened. And he has quite a few different tables and quite a few of them. He has pyramid tables, 3 cushion tables, 6x12 snooker tables. And of course, probably 8 or 10 9-foots. Ooh, I don't know if that one's going here maybe in a couple days.
Hit it a little bit rough, but it did help work the cue ball a little bit closer to the 9.
Well, and that's where I think the stroke saves shots at times, you know. If you kind of punch at that, get a little quick and hit it thick, you know, you really bobble that ball.
Nice recovery.
And the one thing about Federer that I've noticed, the only change really is I think he plays at a little quicker pace than he used to overall. Now, he'll take his time whenever he thinks the brain needs it, right? He needs to think something over, rollouts, you know, tough positional shots. But I think he's gotten in a real comfort zone as far as pace around the table.
A real comfortable break and run out. You win the lag, you set the tone. You know, now the other guy's got one bad lag, and Fedor is warmed up, got a little momentum, got things going his way, comfortable in the table, the arena.
Likes the way the break looked. Made
Boy.
2 really nice opening shots on the 1 and the 2 ball bank. So, you know, all the little part of the recipes to get you some confidence to start a match, which he doesn't really lack in anyways, but it certainly doesn't hurt.
No, when you get off on the right step and your confidence is up and you're feeling it and you're concentrating right, you don't have that static in your mind of, oh gosh, I hope I don't struggle.
Well, you know, maybe, you know, besides you could call it a few things otherwise, but maybe the biggest difference between the 2 players here is, you know, historically in both young careers, Federer could leave the mistake behind a little better than Jeffrey. Not say Jeffrey does it badly. That's just how great Federer is.
Right.
And he does rarely make a mistake.
Right.
That's what makes him partly so great.
Now, the bull, he breaks from his fingertips and aims downward. He does get some hop on the cue ball quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot of body. Oh, it took a lot off.
Good
He has a
square
lot
hit,
more
though.
than that.
Good square hit. Is the one going to not drop?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And this is the thing, when I saw him practicing, he did take some off, but he really got the 4-reeler going nicely. But at that speed, you wonder if the 4-reeler is really going to hold line. He got a kiss there. And this could hurt to start out, especially getting to shoot more balls. I mean, Jeffrey hadn't got to try to pocket one yet.
20.5 mile per hour. Our break demon.
Little tricky coming out of the pocket here. Okay, not much at all. There's some funny shots here, though. The 7's a funny ball. The 8's not terrible, but you have to get a pretty good positional play there. The 6 is on the other end. The 5's out in the middle. So definitely some work here.
And definitely got to make a decision here because, you know, do you draw back up? I guess just not even monkey around with the 4.
I think he spins above the 4 here.
Okay, but then you're getting pretty far down table pretty easily. Maybe you can just go above there. You're right.
Like a stun spin. I shoot more of a rolling ball there with a hair of spin, where he does like a little combination of both, I guess.
He was trying to make sure he took the 4 out of it, because if you nick that 4, then things can get real treacherous. But
Well, the thing is, whenever you're playing on a slick table, until you know otherwise, you're not sure the spin is that responsive. And
true story.
And again, when you're close to the ball, that's where preference really comes in anyways, because accuracy should be at a premium. Now, this is where Federer's so good to stay disciplined, playing for one of the lower corners, using his stroke rather than trying to move for a side pocket. It just makes everything very natural. You don't worry so much. And I think it really kind of breeds confidence, Mark.
You have to love his game, and he really made his mark here last year as the master of the table. He won the first 2 events. I believe it was the bank pool and the 1 pocket, and then naturally a decent run in the 9 ball. That was a pretty profitable week for Mr. Gorst.
Now, I don't think he was trying to get for the side pocket myself. He may have gotten a little thin for the corner, but to me, when I did spend some time on the 10-footer, which I had a couple little spells in different places, when I didn't change my game as much as what I did on the 9-foot, you know, as far as decisions, it seems like when I played my best on the 10-foot. And I kind of think Federer does a lot of that also. He doesn't really run for the short shot. Still plays it like it makes sense. Now, it'd be surprising to me, he expected to get much more full if this ball is tight going by the 7.
Right.
So possibly a missable ball here.
Nice angle to comfortably transfer to the 6. And in the audience, I see a most interested onlooker, Federer's coach, Johan Rusink, the winningest Mosconi Cup captain ever.
Yeah, you play for the full here to draw back above the 8, or do you play for the little off angle to where you slide between the 9, 10 and play the 8 up long?
I think he's stunning forward to play the 7 here.
Yeah.
Just get out.
Yeah, and if he falls a little off angle, he'll just stun over. The 8 does play on the side, I believe, from a little bit of an angle. If it gets right on it, I think the corner's really the shot. But
Tremendous opening day audience here, the Accu-Stats arena table.
yeah, lots going on with pool, and it's a very personal game as far as, ooh, this one's gotten as about as funny as it could get.
Yeah, anything but on the rail would have been better.
Yeah, he's got to slow roll this, I think. He's looking to see if he maybe catches the point, shooting it up in the corner. Because when you're hitting it lighter, it won't go through the ball quite as much. So
You think he'll stun down? I think he might stun down here.
like let it go.
No, he's going flat.
Yeah, I thought he had to
So he's
slow
top
roll.
spinning.
It's either a lot of speed or little speed. Nothing in the middle. Yeah, he went with the hit.
Pretty hit. Wow. His mental toughness, tremendous. Well, since day one, I've admired and respected Mr. Gorst's game. 22 years old and on top of the world, top of the pool world. And he did so with just hard work. Right behind his chair is Jason Sword, who's Federer's biggest fan, clearly. Smiling and clapping, recognizing that Federer has gotten off to a great start here, leading the match 2-0. He's pocketed every ball thus far.
Yeah, and like most sports, when a guy like Federer comes along, of course there's some others, but Federer's so impressive because of other disciplines, I think, as well. And not only that, changing tables. This last year, he played a lot of regional 7-footers, played great. Comes to the 10-footer, plays great. Seems like it doesn't matter. He figures it out. But what is kind of scary impressive is that's kind of what's coming for the future of pool, I think. I think he's setting a bar to where you're going to see a lot of guys like him, and ladies as well.
And it brings the youth into the sport because they identify with this guy. He's been around. He's established now.
Well,
it's
yeah,
not like he's a one-hit wonder. So.
No, absolutely. And that's a real deal that these guys are making great livings, getting to do what they love, even though it's still not easy. It's a lot of work.
He hits the rack so square, gets tremendous ball action, parks the cue ball, nice.
That's the four-reeler I was saying that was going a lot during the practice. I saw him missing the sides quite a bit, but the four-reeler for both the guys was going quite a bit. Did you have the break speed on?
Yeah, I was trying to dunk on it. I monkeyed up my thing here.
All right, type of angle you may just draw the cue ball out of off the one instead of chipping it when you're coming across the spot-ish. It's kind of funny. 21.28 there from Federer Gorst.
Break Demon. It's pretty cool tool.
Yeah, and he's made two beautiful outs to start, and this one looks a lot easier to me. I mean, he's got to get on a tough three ball just because if he gets on the two nice, the three's not hard. But it doesn't pass the 7. and it doesn't pass the 6, I don't believe.
Well, that's a good shot.
Yeah.
Got the cue ball close to the 2, has some angle to work with, and now he can make up his mind what he wants to do.
Yeah, can he kill it enough to come a soft 2 rails for the 3 in the side with right English on the new felt? I mean, it's a little tricky, like it might kind of come at the 3 a little bit. He could come 2 tight rails inside and play the 3 in the side pocket, across where he's at. Like where he's looking now,
Yeah.
that's what it naturally kind of wants to do a little more. You just have to have a nice speed on the cue ball. Now, if he was twice the distance away, he couldn't do this. But since he's close, he can stun or kind of spin with a lot of control. Yeah, just like that. Float right into position.
Look how good that speed is, too. Real reasonable.
Yeah, and he's still got to work, though. That's why that ball in the center of the table is such a big ball, the 10. Because it comes into play a lot when you just get a little funny. Like going by the 10 is a little funny. Going between the 9, 10, very awkward. Can he go forward with a high inside 2 rails to kind of where the 3's at now, Mark?
It looks like the 10's in there.
Yeah, I think with a good stroke and more spin than speed, I think he can get through there. Oh, he played the other way, 1 rail.
How's the speed? Just a hair off? Yeah, a little thin, a little thinnish.
That's the type of shot, though, that you work with drills. There's certain types of drills where that 1 tip stun, something you're not going to think of very often, rotation-wise, but it does come up.
I love the care he puts into every ball. It's not just this, it's a challenge for position, but it's the other balls, the more routine ones, too. He works exactly the same way.
Yeah, that's the key, really, is to treat him all the same. It just kind of makes you gets you by yourself out there. Your mind doesn't wander because you got a little task you're doing during your routine. It's like a long day of work. When you have nothing to do, your mind wanders. But when you're busy, you just stay a little more focused. It's just kind of like I tell some people with Steph Curry. I know on a bet he can make about 200 or 300 in a row free throws.
Oh, boy.
If he just tossing the ball shooting.
Yeah.
But he still goes through that dribbling and everything else every time he's at the free throw line.
Right.
It's just what you can almost rely on it after a while. Your routine, and Gorst always displays that.
He missed his position by quite a bit here, so that means taking care of the cue ball on a tougher 7 ball is not an easy task. I think he'll go all the way past the 8 rather than try to stay on that same side of the table he's on now.
Yeah, and a little fortunate that the 8's a pretty playable ball from a lot of places. If the 8's a little tucked away and you get short there, things could be funny.
Great recovery shot.
He's got to cheat the side pocket just a little bit if he's going to draw it. I don't know if he can do it. I think he can, but he may go forward. Is he playing the corner here? No way, right?
No, it looks like he might be. I don't know. Now we know he's going to the side because he's going above center. Down to the other end of the table.
Oh, yeah, he could cheat it quite a bit.
And comfortably done.
And that's another one of the shots that the 10-footer you feel a little better about, just coming 1 clean rail by the 10, not worrying about scratching because you have a little more room to come down. It's always a little nervy when you have to come down one side of the table, 1 rail. Easily seems like there's a magnet for that corner pocket. Was Jeffrey going to get to shoot here, Mark?
Wow. Perfect pool so far.
The first 3 games.
Gorst has a
2 breaking runouts
lead
now for Gorst.
Yeah,
and DeLuna will have the break
That's a heck of a
as we
start.
move into rack 4.
Like to send a shout out to listing back in St. Louis, Alan Oliver, former Lindenwood star player, loves pool. Glad to have you aboard. Jim Kuhn, back in Topeka, Kansas. Glad you're here. And Carl Baum, who'll probably be here later this week.
Yeah, be surprised if Carl didn't show up. He's busy this time of the year, though. I guess he's probably always busy.
Yeah. Yes, he is. Great dude.
Jeffrey's been down 3-0 before. And really, I mean, does he change the break a little bit, Mark? I mean, I know it's early. You don't want to go from what you kind of warmed up with, away too quickly. But, I mean, seeing Federer smash him, he can smash him.
Yeah. With DeLuna, though, that downward hit, sometimes his cue ball gets loose. That's the problem. It's bouncing, and then something kisses it, and then it's off the table.
Well, the thing is, he doesn't have to go to 100% to get a lot of power. He possesses a ton of power at, 70%. I feel like kind of his last one was off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get to see the best one, for 20 mile an hour or whatever it was. But
I think he feels the same way, too. I think he wants to see before he switches.
Better,
yeah. We always have our little favorite place. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, that's what he wanted. That's not even close to his max. Not even close.
And an unfortunate, but a great break with an unfortunate result.
Yeah, pool's amazing. He hasn't got to shoot yet. Breaks him. Look how open the center of the table is, and he ends up on top of the one. Now the lefty, can he kind of bank the one down and kind of nip him behind the 3 here, Mark? Is he trying to thin this? Wow. This may end up behind the 10. I think that's.
This can go in the side pocket too. You got to be careful of that.
Yeah, you were right, Mark. I don't know about that one. It looked a little tough.
Yeah.
Of course, he didn't hit it how you imagined or how he wanted, but I thought he may consider banking the one down. Just kind of soft draw behind the 3, get the one by the 2 maybe. Now Federer should come between the 2-3, not really flirt with the other side of the table. May need a touch of inside English.
DeLuna on the break demon, 21.6, 0.6, 21 miles an hour.
Queuing pretty high here with a little inside English. He hit it thick, so he's going to come at the 2, and he's not very happy about it. So we're going to probably see Jeffrey come back to the table. Now, you want to pinch him behind the 10 for the devastating safety here, but I may just lean towards getting him behind the 7, banking the 2 up table. No jump cues, right? I mean, it's pretty natural. And this is, don't worry about the 2 going all the way down. That's why the cue ball escaped. You can't worry about the 2 going all the way down. You have to realize how big the eclipse is, you just going behind the 7.
Well, his ball speed on the 2 was impeccable. So
yeah, but just imagine if he concentrated on the cue ball, how impeccable it would have been. I'm pretty sure he would have hit his mark.
Still a tough recovery here for DeLuna from this long range and 2 on the rail. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, he lost that one. He may get fortunate here. Backdoor safety behind the 9, maybe? No. And he's opened up the 5 now, so big problems for Jeffrey.
Well, distance is your friend when you're playing safe. If you can't leave it perfect, just get them long, and they can make a mistake, and maybe you come back to the table with something slightly better.
Well, he's the hard work in the rack, the 5-9 that was sitting pretty ugly is now open. He can cue the ball. Little distance on the 3, not a big deal for Federer. And I think that shot on the 2 we were talking about, the safety mark, it seems like to me when you're close to it, it just doesn't kill as well. Like the cue ball doesn't develop as well with the inside. Like if he's a little further away, it's almost like it develops in a different manner as it goes to the 2, where it takes more of that spin, So
right,
or you can play both balls.
To get that speed, your cue ball's not truly rolling at impact on there like it would be when it's further away.
Right.
To get the speed right, and so that's why I think it opens up a little bit more, has a little more speed to it.
Well, he's going to love this. This is perfect where he's full enough, plus has enough easy angle to move it and not have to deal with the 9 at all.
He didn't try to pick up a few more inches by drawing and digging in, but rather just accepting what the table would routinely give him, adding to his consistency rate.
Yeah, and really recognizing it was kind of perfect also. That's the beauty of it, really. Now I'll let this one out. No reason to baby it. Clean hit.
Now just be topspin 1 rail.
I can't tell the angle exactly. This type of shot, you really don't want to have to check it with a hair outside if you're going forward. If you can go with straight high,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Well, we'll be able to tell here, but
Yeah.
worst comes to worst, if you're straight, you can just stop the cue ball there. It's not a problem that way
Yeah.
because you're on the right angle.
It was straight high. And you're never going to put inside and flirt just to get a little better. So
No, you can't take that risk on.
yeah, and this is where Federer really smart on not worrying about working a little more on the 9, just to be able to shoot the 8 how he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he can kill the cue ball here, but I wouldn't doubt if he doesn't and takes a little more angle on the 9 like this. And just understand, nothing wrong with coming across. You know, if you get that angle that's too much, just work a little harder.
Yeah.
And what happens there is he gets to shoot a lot of shots in that medium zone, knowing, you know, what's he going to do with 9 again here about medium, unless he decides to not come across. So it's a little bit of a fooler at times, just because he gets to do a lot of the same things over and over and over. Like right there. That wasn't light. That wasn't hard. That was just right about in the middle. So Jeffries broke twice and had 1 attempt at safety in 4 games, Mark.
Yeah. It's been all Federer so far. 4-0 is our score.
Gorst takes that down and extends his lead. 4 games are done, and he'll be breaking in rack 5.
So what's the odds the 1 ball's within 6 inches of this corner pocket down here for this break shot?
Yeah, when you hit them square and you hit them consistent, then the balls tend to go similar places.
Yeah, and it seems the triangle, especially the 10-ball triangle, seems to avoid a lot of kisses with the object balls when you hit them well.
Well, he missed it a little bit.
Yeah, the one's pretty close to that corner, but he didn't make one, I don't think, anyways.
And he left a tough 1 ball, even though it's hanging to get.
Yeah, Jeffrey's going to have to long rail kick this 1 in and take one heck of a shot on the 2. Now he could make the 1 with the 6 and figure out a place to roll out on the 2, but and challenge maybe. The 4-9's tough, right? This is a tough rack, so maybe, you know, reconsider some things instead of the kick shot on the 1. A lot of guys, I wouldn't say overlook, but sometimes just don't think that you can roll out and pocket that 1.
Well, you know, the other thing here is if you make the 1, it's like you did, don't scratch. Okay, if you make the 1,
you're trapped.
but maybe you're playing to play safe here because the 4-9 is tough, the 3 is not easy to get on.
Yeah.
So don't force something here that's not here. Don't try to be a hero, because even if you make a tough 2 and a tough 3, you're still not getting out most of the time.
Right. That's what I say. You're going to bring your opponent to the table, and
Right.
if you pocket the 1, you can kind of move the cue ball a little more where you want. You may not get it back, but.
And I can see the value of pocketing the 1, because now that makes, you know, if you can get a safe from here, and maybe you can't, but if you can, that's probably the best play. And this is the
What a shot.
man, incredible shot at that speed.
I'll tell you.
One slight miss hit and you scratch there.
Yeah.
You realize, I mean,
Well, it could warp on a new felted table even if you hit it well. That's the type of shot,
Right.
just because it hugs and just kind of changes some direction a little bit. So
how it hits the pocket, they can still scratch behind it, you know. So
does he take on the 3 trying to use the 8 to hold the ball? I mean, I don't see any future in the shot otherwise, really. Maybe even kiss off the 8 coming backwards, maybe? Is he going 2 rails behind the 4? All right, try to use the 8 to maintain for the combo. A little bit painting himself into the corner, and we'll see what happens.
No, nothing was easy ever, even playing safe, like I said, maybe on the 2, or you're saying maybe pocket the 1 on the push out. And there's never anything going to be easy here. Is he playing the 9 or just safe? Yeah, just
He's
safe.
trying to not make the 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's giving up. You wanted to let the 9 hold the cue ball, but good chance you make the 9 if you flirt there, right? So big wall of balls. He's going to come back with the cue ball most likely. Now, do you just float off the 4, putting the 4 maybe by the opposite head spot and spinning back to the end rail? Do you double bank this, trying to shove the cue ball a little bit?
Double bank. I think it plays easier. When you try to float this one, it's easy for it to get away from you. Yeah, double bank.
Yeah.
And that way, no, it didn't turn out perfect, but
No,
you
it's
see the
pretty darn
value.
good,
of it.
yeah.
You can see the value. You got distance. That was very controllable. If you go thin on that ball, there's a lot of things that could go wrong, to include scratching.
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of guys overhit that as well, lose a little line. You could see he really floated that 4 into position along with the cue ball. So,
and the 9 protects the bank. I mean, even if you sell out the 4, the bank is no good.
Yeah, he's got to maybe curve this a touch, because he's got to dive down a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. Okay, nice hit. Very square hit.
Pocketed reward. Yeah.
Now, this has got a little angle, so this hasn't gotten super easy, I don't think. He may be able to pinch it back, but then he's stretching as a lefty.
I think we're going to see inside spin, which is a real pretty 2-rail position play.
Long rail, in rail?
Yep.
Wow.
I don't know if we
will
can
get enough.
the overhead.
Will it get enough gas on it?
I think he's trying.
He's going around them 3 rails.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so. Watch out for the
we'll
scratch.
See.
Watch out for the scratch where the 5's at.
Oh, you're right.
He's going to be okay.
Good job.
Perfect speed.
Good job. Boy,
this doesn't slow down. He's not out of the woods. There's a combo and a funny 7 ball to get on here.
But a great shot from where he was at to get around the table and have any angle at all on the 6 and have it be very makeable. Now, it's still possible to miss the 6 because you're trying to maneuver the cue ball with power. Looks like he'll 2 cushions back with draw.
Speed is the real key when you got to power up on the slick table, or you're going to hit the speed right. And he may have hit the speed right for that side pocket. That was kind of odd. Did he put like an inside on that or something like that? Or straight draw, was it maybe? That was an odd the way the cue ball hooked, huh?
I think he was trying to hit straight draw, and I think he accidentally got a hint of inside because it really checked up off that second cushion. Now, but he can still do this. He just takes a good shot here. Speed's going to end up playing right. Got it down.
Overcut, so that usually costs you a little bit on the cue ball.
Right, the cue ball ran another 1.5 feet due to the fact that it hit the thin side of the pocket as opposed to the heart that he was anticipating.
Big shot here. Can't overlook these.
Super long bridge. Guess he's drawing. Yeah, he felt better that way.
Funny stretch here. He may go righty. Interesting. We see another player that's a lefty, though, using the bridge righty. His fellow countryman Roberto does the same thing.
Huh.
And he's a lot like Boosty, quite a bit away from the cue ball with the tip. Most of the time with the bridge, you want to learn to bring the tip pretty close to the cue ball. Not crazy close, but Bustamante, he's amazing. He's like 10, 12 inches away from the cue ball with the bridge. And he's actually very good with the bridge.
Good work there by Jeffrey DeLuna.
Yeah, big kick shot there. Yeah, big out there, really, to break the balls in Game 6 as well. He can get right back in this match. put a little heat on Federer, even though it never seems like he feels any heat. And the funny thing is, when he was younger, I wouldn't say that. I saw that at times, I saw him play a Mosconi Cup. That, of course, it was an odd Mosconi Cup with the pandemic and whatnot. It was a little different, but he looked more human back then. So his middle game's pretty strong.
Yeah, and getting better. Danny
Absolutely.
DiLiberto said, imagine having to fade this guy for the next 30 years, But it's raising the bar. Everybody's going to have to train harder now to keep up or get left behind. There's Tyler Steyer now. Entered the arena to watch. There's a couple open seats around, but not that many.
Well, both these guys have a lot of fans. Jeffrey, very entertaining player. Very charismatic at the table. That's the connection he wants. An awful kiss on the one. Now the cue ball was back, but the one was in a great direction from a great hit on the rack. I don't think he passes here, but we'll see. I think he attacks. Like, this is what I mean as far as, like, you can't really let the table change you a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
You got to feel you can knock these balls in and keep Federer in his chair. There is a reward. The two's open with the three hanging. He can cue the ball.
DeLuna, 21.5 miles an hour on that break.
Yeah, and if he wanted to go with a high ball here, I wouldn't blame him at all, really. Take his chances with the cue ball a little bit.
Pretty shot.
Yeah, I like that.
What a shot that was.
I thought,
Man.
Yeah, perfect. And he deserved that cue ball there.
On a scale of 10, 1 through 10, that was a 10 right there. It's not just the difficulty of the shot, but the position play. You got to hit the right amount of stun to get it to respond that way. It doesn't naturally want to go where it ended up. You had to manufacture that part of it too.
Yeah, and I thought for those guys, it was a little more comfortable than the draw maybe, but especially the Filipinos really play those types of shots a lot because of the conditions they grow up on. We played a lot of those in Houston as well, just because the tables were so tough and slow and hard to draw the ball. Now he needs to capitalize here, and he's got the rack to do it. Here you just slowly come across kind of at the 6.
And cue ball just falls right in there where you want it. Nice little angle to work with. You'd like to get that same angle. You'd like to get the cue ball right back where it's at right now.
He's got to think of being lefty, though.
That part's too. That's true. Yeah, it plays great for a righty, but not maybe so much. Oh, he overcut it.
And that's what I was saying. He's got to capitalize here on these types of racks, especially after what a great opener. And it looks like he's dialed in the break a little bit after that opening break. I think he had his mind on the cue ball a little bit there, Mark.
Oh, for sure. Look at where the cue ball's at. He got the perfect angle.
Yeah.
You know, another thing, too, like if you're Gorst, okay? You know an unforced error has occurred after a guy's kind of starting to get a little momentum, and you know if you can put these last 5 balls away, it really hurts their psyche. You know, do you think he ever thinks like that? Like, I really want to cash this. I mean, not that you don't want to win anyway, but I'm saying.
It may not be those conscious words, but yeah, he's got that umph, or whatever you want to call it,
You know the psychological effect.
Killer instinct.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
Just killer instinct is what makes him practice all the time as well. I mean, those things all go hand in hand, I think. Because there's not favorites over there. All those players have the same opportunity, and Federer's the one that continually put in the time and whatnot.
Because that mistake can easily cost you 2 or 3 games. It's for sure. If Gorst gets out, it's for sure at least 2 games difference because you would have had one and you gave one.
Yeah, I'm curious how he plays this. It looks like he's going to go downward. Usually, no, he's going forward. Okay, I would creep this 2 rails. Don't really try to get a ton. Oh, he played the stun. Okay, it's hard with Federer sometimes because when he's hitting below the equator. He won't go any lower than the equator when he starts, and then he drops the tip on the last stroke. A lot like the older school players, I think more of the guys today come up with the tip much lower, below where they really want to strike.
Good look there as Gorst has the cue right down the middle of his chin.
Yeah, and he's, the one thing psychologically that, not saying you're going to think at every match you play Gorst, but you know it in the back of your head. He's convincing these guys they really can't afford hardly any mistakes if they expect to win.
Yeah, Gorst is not going to beat himself.
Yeah, they can win, but they just got to play really well.
Right. And know that he's going to play great, so that means you got to play just your very best game.
There was a handful of those players in every generation that, that carried throughout the fields, right? So.
Yeah, it's all Gorst so far. 5-1 in front. He's like a machine. I mean, we always joke around, guys are machine, but he really is machine-like. I mean, there's detached emotions and the serious structure to his swing and thought pattern and eye pattern and the setup pattern, and just on and on and on.
Yeah, and the batteries don't seem to run out either. Machine-like as far as that.
I always talk about the first time I met him here, and he was only 16. He played his Bigfoot match, and then he sat in the crowd and watched another match on his phone while watching the next match. I mean, he's going to school and studying simultaneously to playing at the highest level at 16 years old. So.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I think it was us in the first match yesterday, how strong it is when you're out here competing, trying to win. Of course, being an incredible player and also very, very aware of learning. That's most of the guys say, all right, I'll learn when I get back home, or now let me compete. The smart ones do both, I guess.
I've always loved everything about his game.
All right, definitely not 100%, but not holding back. Oh, he mishit that one a little bit. You could actually see the cue stick go a hair left, his left.
Looked like he tried to ramp up the power just a smidgen that time, too.
Yeah, and, he didn't hold his paws at the cue ball quite as long as he normally does.
True that.
So that normally makes you take off a hair quicker. And then one thing about Federer that is something I've learned watching him and kind of relearned in a manner, but he doesn't always have a perfect backswing. No one can. We're human. But he always commits to impact and goes through. And that's a big key one. That is a big tool. So when he gets a little quick, and here's a replay, watch the cue stick go, well, it wasn't too bad, but he definitely didn't hold the pause as long as he normally does. And so get a little quick, you accelerate off of it, just a little mishit on the cue ball.
And that mishit, the hop, also took away some of the power. It was just at 20.8 miles per hour.
So he got a little odd here. What he's thinking is top and side's kind of heavy. And this is where he's got to not worry. I mean, he wants to get the natural angle, and if he can stun 2 rails, that's great, or 1 rail up is what I like. Going in between the 7-9 1 rail like that. I think that was pretty easy.
Beautiful.
But again, another rack. You're not going to say it too often, but it seems like a lot. We say it with Gorst. Feels like a kind of got to get out rack.
Yeah, you don't get many second chances.
Yeah, and he overcut one. This is the type of one when you miss, it's a hair thick. Don't expect to miss, though. Ooh, almost overcut that one. He's going to have a mean stretch here, being the lefty. Which Jeffrey will kind of contort his body and whatever he needs to do to get at this cue ball. It's pretty natural, though. Low right English. The ball should grab plenty enough. The 5's not right on the rail. It's a good 2 inches off. This is all about just give it time to grab. You could stay above the side if you wanted. Cut the 7.
Going righty.
He's going, and he's coming backwards. Oh, boy. And this is where he got the cut anyways, so he may survive this rack.
Now, there's a time where 4 1/8 inch pockets helped you.
Yeah,
right?
Which the sides aren't 4 1/8, but they are tighter than normal.
You get my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're probably 4 3/4.
Yep. We measured them last night, exactly 4 3/4.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Okay, this is all speed, of course, but you got to commit to the stroke. He's overcut it. He's lost the cue ball as well. The cue ball survived, so this is going to be a little awkward. But this is one that usually Federer will go ahead and draw the ball, not really want to come off any kind of funny manner, kind of like where he's in control of what happens. We'll see how well he hits it.
Don't know if we can grab the overhead, but
Pulled the ball a couple rails there.
Well, we didn't, but he's going to go 2 cushions around, looks like.
About a half ball hit, it looks like. Well,
yeah, with a
yeah,
little
he's
bit of
going
draw.
downward, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
you got to have a little backspin because the topspin makes it want to hug down there.
Yeah. Yeah, about a half ball.
It's a great hit.
Speed should be pretty good. And again, like all the greats, even though this, looks something, I wouldn't say routine, but not like something you have to think about a ton, he really calculates what's the best play on all these kind of easier layouts. Not saying this is an easy shot by any means, but he's not doing anything crazy. But does he go 2 rails, 1 rail? It may end up on the 50 there. I think that's twice that he didn't really hold the pause that like I'm used to seeing from him at the cue ball.
Well, this is plenty tough here. There's nothing easy about this.
I think he'll end up. This is a funny 3 rails to me.
That's what I'm saying.
I would just come across and from above the side take the shot on the 10 in the same corner as the 9. Just kind of 1 rail, maybe a soft 2 rails, depending on how you want to hit it.
A risk and reward assessment is being performed right now by the robot.
And this is where the smaller pocket really comes into play. A little bigger pocket, you can create a little more angle coming off the 9 to go 3 rails.
If you're drawing to go 3 rails, you have to refrain from trying to hit the ball heavy to create enough angle to get past the side pocket. You're going to have to go for the middle of the pocket because
he's got to go for the side, doesn't he?
Well, I'm saying
like a lot of cut to me.
Okay. Well,
So
maybe
he's
it's too
gonna
much cut. For that.
he's going to do the shot we talked about, just coming across.
Just go across and take it from above the side pocket.
Yeah, just remember how great you are, right?
Just a spot shot here.
Yeah. He makes us look at shots a little differently than if you and I were at the table, maybe, Mark.
Yeah, no doubt.
Just a little spot
There'd
shot
be
from.
a tremendous trepidation what I will be feeling at this juncture.
Okay, just like he does in some other events where they have some spot shot shootouts. Nice high ball.
Good pause. Pretty smooth transition. And he connected with the heart of the pocket.
Yeah.
Well, that was a nice out. 6-1 is our score.
Yeah, Jeffrey, I think, is going to take his time out and